Well, Jeff, you're up. I'll get out of your way. Now you get to see a real pro.
In my store, and I think in most stores, there's a segment of people who come in who like certain flavors. Mint chocolate chip comes to mind. There's people who come in just for mint chocolate chip ice cream. If you don't have it, they turn around and walk out, even though I've got 40 flavors at all times. But they're mint chocolate chip people. Another flavor that is definitely cultish is coffee. There are people who go for coffee ice cream, people who don't go for coffee ice cream. However, and I stopped making it at the store because even though we see an average of 200 people in a night, the amount that buys coffee ice cream, minor. However, you know what I'm leading up to now, right? We're going to make Mocha chip, okay, which is a strong coffee ice cream with chocolate chips. Is that all right? Okay. Haven't made it in a while. It's very simple. There's 4 ingredients, and that's it. So here we go. And you can write this down, and I think it's in my book if you want to. Oh, speaking of my book, I brought a few of these with me. These are the top 20 recipes, as well as procedures, equipment, and things you'll appreciate in starting a store or a business. Online, they're 60. There's no shipping or handling here, so they're 50 today. And I've got a couple of them. Okay, and I think the coffee, is coffee in the book? Is the coffee in the book? What? Yeah. If not, don't worry, I'll give it to you. For 40, so really they don't 10 to get the whole book. All right, mix. It calls for, now I put all my recipes on these cards, and to me, a full batch, I have a machine larger than this. It's a 24-quart machine. This is a half that, so we'll make half batches. So where I have 10 quarts of mix, which is 1 full bladder, this is how you'll get your mix delivered. Wherever you are, it comes in these things. They're heavy and unwieldy and loosey-goosey, so they take a little getting used to. But once you do it, it's nothing. I've only dropped 1 in my 7 years, and that led to about 4.5, 5 hours cleanup. No, it really did. Yeah. It goes under the refrigerator, and I mean, you can't, this is obviously cream, so you got to clean it up. Okay, so we'll take 5 quarts of this. And since most pitchers don't come in 5 quarts, they come in 4, although you have a 6. Can you hand me that 6? This is a 6, so we'll add 5 to this. Now you could take, theoretically, you could take this mix, pour it in your machine, turn it on, and 9 minutes later you've got vanilla ice cream. But you wouldn't want to do that because the same vanilla ice cream they can buy at the supermarket for $4 for a gallon because it's just plain ice cream. Okay, so we'll add this to the machine.
Is the mix sweetened?
It is, slightly. There is sugar in it. Not a lot, but slightly. I was using a mix for about 5 years from one company in Florida, and everything was fine. And then one day a salesman came in and he said, I'd like you to buy our mix. And I said, I already got it. I'm fine. They deliver. Everything's great. So he convinced me to do a blind test. And I brought out my mix. He brought in his mix. I turned around. He poured out 2 little cups. And I tasted one and I said, that's it. That's the great mix that I use. And he poured, I sampled the other one. And I said, is this yours? He said, yes. I said, I'll take it. It was head and shoulders over the other one. So something as innocuous as what people call the same mix was different. Okay?
And they had the same fat content too, didn't they?
Same, yeah. I use 10%. You use 10%?
I do.
Yeah. 10% is, the people in the know use 10. The people who don't know use 12, 14, 16, because they think it makes better ice cream. But it doesn't.
So do you know what the ingredients are in the mix?
It's printed on every box. There's a full length of ingredients printed on every box, and I haven't memorized them, no. But you know pretty much what
Yeah,
they
it's
are.
mix is exactly what you would do if you were going to do it at home. If you just use heavy cream, you're going to have something that's going to taste like lard. It's going to be so incredibly heavy. I mean, you wouldn't sit down and drink a glass of heavy cream.
Butterfat in heavy cream?
It varies between 38 and 42% fat. So they take the cream out of the cow and then they separate it into milk, which is 4%, and skim milk, which is 1% or less. And then there's low-fat milk too. So they do a balance: milk, cream, skim milk, and a little bit of sugar. And that's what becomes ice cream mix. It would be a much better product if we called it a blend, because that's what it is. It came out of the cow yesterday. It was processed, meaning that it was pasteurized and homogenized, just like your milk, last night, and then it was delivered to you early this morning when you were asleep. So it couldn't get any fresher. That's one of my complaints with the Italians, is they think they make a better gelato than we do, but they don't, because they start off with this. This is a powdered mix. This started off in Argentina, coming out of a cow as cream, and then they spray dried it into a powder, shipped it in bulk to Bologna, Italy, put it in these nice foil bags, milk, cream, sugar, skim milk, shipped it to Port of Elizabeth, and then shipped it to you here in Florida. I mean, this is more of a world traveler than I'll ever be. And it's not fresh. This mix, this blend, came out of the cow yesterday. So who's going to make better ice cream? The Italians or the Americans? We're using a fresh product.
A fresh product, by the way, that when it's delivered to my store Tuesday mornings, I freeze. And it maintains its integrity frozen. And then the girls, just the night before, when they're closing up at night, they'll take out they'll take out however many bladders, we call them bladders, that I need to make ice cream the next day. They put it in the sink, run the water on it, and plug up the sink, and then the next morning I have thawed out bladders, and it works fine. Never any loss of anything.
So you can leave that in water overnight? Then have to
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
because it's
Leave it in water 24 hours.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Just like lukewarm water? Or
Well, don't forget, this is a block of ice, so whatever water you put into it's going to get very cold. And it stays cold. When I go in the next day, I have to reach my hand in to unplug the drain. It's freezing. But this is defrosted.
I'm not making ice cream every day, so I took mine out on Thursday and put it in the refrigerator, and then it warmed up. I'll show you what it looks like when you freeze it. The beauty of freezing it is it makes it very simple. You always have mix on hand. It comes in these boxes. There's 2 bags in a box. This is frozen.
Here are the ingredients, by the way.
Yeah. Milk, cream, sugar, skim milk, some stabilizers, and emulsifiers. Sorry about my back being to you. That's a frozen bag of mix. And that's cold. It's very cold.
To make, yes.
When you freeze the mix, and the same question can be applied for the finished product out of the machine. I've heard taking it to lower temperatures is the proper way to cure or store your ice cream. Do you not break down fat molecules when you take it that cold, and then that subsequently compromises your ice cream?
Oh, great question. Here's my answer to that. The question was, I forgot the question. When you freeze the mix, does it break down the fat molecules and decrease the integrity of the finished product, right? Okay, my answer is very simple.
I actually do know the answer because Ice Cream Folks was discussing this a couple of weeks ago, a blog. And no, it doesn't change it. It doesn't change it at all.
Well, it probably does in some way, but for our needs, it's a who cares thing.
Nothing that we're ever going to notice. No, it's perfectly fine to freeze mix. In fact, it's better because then you know you always have free mix. I'd be more worried about having mix around for 16 days and having to question whether or not it's still good in the refrigerator. This way, I don't have any worries. I take out what I need when I want it. But in a normal operation of a store, do you get 1 or 2 deliveries a week?
One.
Jeff gets 1 delivery a week, so he has probably a large refrigerator that he keeps the product in. If he got 2 deliveries a week, he could have a smaller refrigerator. It's that simple. Freezer or refrigerator, depending on how you're doing it. So it really comes down to how much space do you have and how often do they deliver.
I try to convert to put aside 1 or 2 freezers just for the mix when they deliver it. And usually I get between 10 and 12 boxes a week. The boxes are gone, right?
Yeah.
So about 20 to 24, 26 bladders every week. And that keeps me. And I put it all in the freezer unless he comes on Tuesday, unless Tuesday's an ice cream making day. Then I'll tell Al, the driver, leave me 3 boxes on the counter or 4 boxes on the counter. And they'll sit there until I make my ice cream all day on Tuesday. Okay?
One quick one, Jeff. When Jeff just asked me what's the fat content of heavy cream. This is why I like buying a blend from a dairy, because these are professional scientists. They are not young millennials playing hit or miss. And I ask people, and again, it gets me nowhere, so I'm learning to keep my mouth shut. Tell me the difference in fat output between a Jersey, a Guernsey, and a Holstein. If you can, well, then you're getting up near a dairy scientist, because all 3 cows that are prevalent in the United States have different fat contents. Tell me the difference in fat content between January and August, because that changes too. So these dairy scientists, they're not just sitting with one formula and say, that's it. They're taking the ingredients that are coming into them from the cow overnight, and they're measuring the fat content, and then they're readjusting and balancing their formula, because we all want the same thing in any business. We want consistency. The fastest way to ruin a business is to hear someone say, oh yeah, that ice cream parlor in Tallahassee used to be really good ice cream, but it's just not the same anymore. You know, that's the kiss of death. You want to be consistent. McDonald's, in my opinion, is a lousy hamburger. But no matter where you go, you can be in Moscow, you can be in Trinidad, you can be in Indonesia. It's the same lousy hamburger no matter where you go. So you know what you're going to get when you go through the Golden Arches. We want the same. Jeff makes fabulous ice cream. And if you remember, you haven't visited Jeff's store in 4 years, and you remember what his mint chip was like, and it was clean, the chips weren't chalky tasting. When you go back tomorrow, you want that same great experience, because the mind is pretty intelligent. It remembers what that taste was.
And also, with regard to your question, I teach a class, and in the class, one of the first things I tell everybody is this is a very simple business. There are other people who teach ice cream making, and they get into a lot of math and science. And to me, the business is art and fun. And I keep it very simple, and it is a very simple business. You take the ice cream mix that the guy delivers to your store, you put it in the machine, you go to the supermarket, you look and you see, well, that'll make good ice cream, that'll make good ice cream. You buy it, you experiment a little, you throw it in the machine, and you got great ice cream. Very simple, without going into the percentages and the integrity of the cream and the fat molecules. Maybe I'm wrong, or maybe it's not for you, but I try to keep it very simple. Was it simple? Did you find it simple? Okay.
I just got to say one more thing. I was talking to Jeff about experimenting. I wanted to make for you today a lemon ice made from honey instead of sugar. And so I bought large quantities of this honey, and I told Jeff, I'm having this problem, I'm having that problem. That's why we're not making it today, because it was awful. And he said, honey, it isn't going to work. And I said, when did we get so intimate that you're calling me honey? He said, no, your honey is no good. You bought it by the price per ounce instead of the color and the taste and the smell. So
It's
I've got
honey.
$70 worth of cheap honey here if anybody wants some.
Now
Jeff, that's good.
that bottle of my honey is $35.
They paid me to take this off the
Yeah,
shelf.
that bottle of sous vide is probably $3.
Yes, it was.
Everything's relative. I now get honey from a bee guy in Georgia, and he sends me the honey in these things. And boy,
Wow.
that's good honey.
But that's what you do. You experiment, and then when you hit on it, you stay with it. You write it down, and you keep it.
Okay, so we put how many quarts? 5 quarts of mix in the machine. And now we're going to add coffee. The coffee I like to use for my coffee ice cream are the freeze-dried crystals. They really, and this is Folger's Classic Roast. It's been great for me over the years. It's a great, hearty, all coffee, no additives, freeze-dried coffee. And I took 3 ounces, because I had to divide it from my normal 6 in my batch. So that's 3 ounces, and we'll just put 3 ounces of freeze-dried coffee in there. I like coffee and chocolate, so I add a little Ghirardelli chocolate powder to my product. And we're going to add 5 teaspoons. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Can you over chocolate? No. You can never over chocolate. Okay, so what do we got? We got coffee. Okay. So this is it, but we're not going to obviously pour this in the machine. We could, just so you know. And if he wasn't watching, I probably would. But to appease the master of machines, we'll dilute this and what do you call it? Dissolve it. Dissolve it in a little hot water. What was your question? We'll get into that in a minute. The question about the chocolate that we use. So we'll take some hot water, and a couple of teaspoons is all, and it shouldn't affect the density of the ice cream.
The chocolate also takes away the bitterness from the coffee, because instant coffees are quite bitter. And you won't necessarily taste the chocolate in there, but you'll taste the smoothness of the coffee. You've had great luck with that Ghirardelli in all your products.
Oh, it's a secret ingredient. Shh. Do you hear that?
Oh, by the way, if you're watching this on video, if you're not writing down the formula, you lose. Mine are all up at the website. You can print them out and copy them, but Jeff's, the only way to get him is to attend his class or get his book, which has all these recipes in it.
So now we've got all that. So look at that. That's nice. It's like a little paste. And what would, if you tasted this, what would you taste? Strong, bitter type coffee with a little sweetness from the chocolate in it. So we'll pour this in. I like to pour all the ingredients in while the machine's running. I don't know if he suggests that or not. It's just my practice.
No, that's fine.
Okay. And we're making super premium ice cream, which is that's sort of hoi polloi, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's like a supermodel. They all look great.
Right. So and that just means that we're going up around 234, which is full speed ahead.
That's homemade.
Yeah. Oh, that's homemade?
Yeah, you want super premium?
Doesn't matter to me.
No. We'll just...
Homemade, super premium.
It's your big fingers.
It's my big fat fingers.
There you go.
Okay.
So now we're at 165.
All right, so we'll pour this in.
The air content, the difference is the air content. The lower the air content, the more dense the ice cream. So you can get down to below a Haagen-Dazs. You can go down to frozen custard, which is a delicious product, but it sits like lead in your stomach. So you might want some for dessert or picking it with a spoon out of a pint. But to have a nice big portion on a cone, you're going to walk away feeling full. And human nature is you won't say, oh, I feel full because I ate too much. You're going to say, oh, Jeff's ice cream made me feel bad, therefore it's not good. So it's like everything. People call up and say, I hear you're running 10% butterfat. I want to run 50% butterfat. You know, it's the old Texas, too much is never enough. Well, too much can be too much. Ice cream is a balance of air, fat content, and flavor. And of the three, the flavor is the most important.
So the higher RPM, the more air.
The higher the RPM, the more the air on ice cream.
Who said that?
Ices, it doesn't make a difference.
Chocolate chips. I like mini chips in some ice creams, large chips in other ice creams, milk chocolate chips in some, white chocolate chips in others. So these are mini semi-sweet Hershey's. And we'll add about that much. And we'll get everything going down there, and then we'll turn it on, and we're good to go.
I would say it's not brain surgery, but I was doing one of these classes years ago, and I said, it's not brain surgery. And the guy in the front row goes, Steve, I'm a brain surgeon. It's a little embarrassing.
As you probably saw when we made the last product, I find it very helpful to taste during the batch in the beginning stages so that you can change things. Once it reaches halfway, it's hard to change things. But if you find it's too sweet, too much coffee, too many chips, whatever, this is the time to adjust it. And that's why your ice cream is going to be different than mine. Because when we taste them at the same time, you're going to go, not enough coffee. And I'm going to go, perfect amount of coffee. Not recommended, right?
Only, it's okay unless you break the spoon, then you got to start over.
Right.
How is it?
Of course, it's perfect.
Good.
It's perfect. Hey, we'll throw some more chips in. About that many. Usually, my rule of thumb is when I'm making a batch, which don't forget is 10 quarts, and I add chips, I add a quart of chips.
To your 24-quart machine?
What?
You said 10 quart.
24 quart, yeah.
So you had a full quart.
Yeah, I add a quart of chips.
So you'd add a half quart for this thing.
Yeah, but then I added the rest of them. So we have about 3/4 of a quart in here. You can't have too much chocolate, right? Okay, let's talk about this, which is the, you asked the question about this, right? This is Ghirardelli's chocolate powder. You asked this question, right? Way in the back, for those at home, about row 35, second balcony, young lady asked the question. Ghirardelli, you know Ghirardelli's chocolate, San Francisco. They make a powder out of their chocolate, white and brown or dark. And they're both chocolate. One is white chocolate, which we know isn't really chocolate, but for old time's sake, white chocolate, dark chocolate. They sell it in either cans, like a coffee can size, which is a little expensive, or boxes. And what it is, they sell it for use in coffees a lot, in espresso, cappuccino machines and stuff. This is ground chocolate with a little cocoa. And that's it. It's really good. What I use it for is to smooth everything out. I make several adult flavors of ice cream, and I use their white chocolate powder to smooth it out. Smooth it out. Like you want to put your feet up and relax. The dark chocolate gives everything a great taste. It's about $120 for a big case of it, about 25 pounds. And you know, you can use it or not. It's up to you. I make the best ice cream in the world, so I use it. Just like those chips that went in there. You know, you can use, can you say Walmart?
Sure.
You can use, what?
You can say anything you want.
Yeah, well,
They're not
not
going to
really.
sue me. You're saying it.
You can use Walmart chips, or you can use Hershey's chips. And you'll pay twice as much for Hershey's chips. But yesterday, when we had my class, you opened up the box of chips. It's about a 30-pound box of Hershey's chips. And as soon as he opened the box, he went, whoa, because the smell of chocolate just, hit him right in the face. And that's a good thing. No waxy taste, no flat taste. It's real good chocolate. Any other questions? Steve, there's no questions, and I really have nothing to do.
Oh, okay. Well, as soon as we make this batch, we're going to have Barry Fink come in from Sterling Capital Leasing, and he'll give you a brief overview about buying via a lease. It's not for everybody, but it's important we want to see you get into business, but we want to make sure you have cash in the bank. I see too many mistakes where people open up and then they find out, well, I've got to go out and buy the Ghirardelli chocolate and I don't have any money left. So just as important as a machine is, so is having cash on hand. Yes?
So we put salad in there, chips. I personally like lemon rind or cherry. Can you ever put, is there an amount that you should not put in there on salad?
The question is, yeah.
In my eyes, I feel like that lemon rind, is there something not?
The question is there anything you can't put into an Emery Thompson? No, absolutely everything can go in. You're not going to hurt it. Are we freezing on the walls a little? No.
What?
No, it's good. There's nothing you can't put in. Nuts, cookies, candies, anything can go in an Emery Thompson. You do that to any other machine, you're going to avoid the warranty. And the reason is because our dashers are so strong, much stronger than anything else on the market. And the barrel is 6 times thicker than anyone else's. We've never replaced a barrel. I mean, if this was a Cappigiani, it would be a featherweight. This is about 25 pounds of pure stainless steel right there, and Delrin. So anything goes in the machine. And then you can do it with some intelligence. If you're making maple walnut ice cream and you go out and buy whole walnuts are expensive because they're whole. You could go out and buy walnut pieces and it would be a fraction of the cost. So a whole walnut is going to get broken into quarters, which is what we want. We don't want whole walnuts in the ice cream. It's too big on a scoop. So I'll let Jeff finish. Look at that. See how fast that comes out? I've had people say, well, you don't have the bars. You don't have the nice bars to give the nice decoration. We don't want decoration. We want speed. The purpose of their bars is so you don't put your fingers in the machine. And what we're trying to do is make ice cream, get it out, make the next batch, get it out, and then go home and play with the family.
Play with the family.
That was quick. And look at that color. That's all natural from the coffee and a little bit of chocolate. That's beautiful. Can you turn it sideways and show the camera? No, this way. We don't have the camera 3's not on today.
Okay, try some of this and see what you think.
You're going to love this.
So have you tried like fresh ground coffee?
I heard
Come
a
on.
question. I heard a question
Come on.
about asking using
So
fresh
throw it away.
ground. No, it's
Little
too bitter,
scoop for you.
and all you get is grounds. You don't get any flavor. The freeze dried is actually meant to dissolve to become coffee. Grounds are already coffee, so they're not of much use.
What was the question?
I just answered it for you.
Oh, about ground coffee?
Yes.
Well, it doesn't dissolve.
Yeah,
You
it
got
just
to
stays-
perk it to dissolve it.
It just stays as grounds.
Hey,
Yeah, Steve, the reason why I asked that is because I have had coffee ice cream with the grounds in it.
Yeah.
Kathy,
I like it. It's pretty
little
good.
bit,
Get that more
little bit.
Okay.
just curious.
Well, it's something you can try.
Hey, good questions.
I know Cafe Ferrara in Little Italy does put espresso into theirs.
Spoon?
And the stuff is so strong it'll
Sure.
take your head off. Keep you up for 5 days.
Well, hold it. That's old.
It's old.
It's old. That's been sitting there for 4 minutes.
I know. I should shorter.
That's my cousin. You're trying to give her cheap product?
That's your cousin. Hi.
Let me go get Barry and a couple of chairs.
That's coffee ice cream, isn't it? How you been, Barry?
Good to see you. Everyone, I'm going to have to get a whistle. Okay, yeah, there you go. Thank you. Everyone, this is Barry Fink. Barry is from Sterling Capital Leasing, and Barry does exclusively our leasing of machines. And I just want to talk briefly. Have a seat, Barry. We'll make ourselves comfortable. The reason I have used Sterling Capital Leasing for as many years as I can remember is in any business, there's always some people who are not just what you would expect them to be.
Mocha
And Sterling Capital Leasing, a private company, has always done a wonderful job for us. I am approached by lease companies all day long. They're dying for our business because we're the largest at what we do. And I turn them down every single time because I say, send me your contract, and I read it. And there are just so many hidden charges in there that they don't tell you about because, quite frankly, you're getting into a new business. You're excited about being in business. I just leased a car the other day, and they came out with 30 pieces of paper and said, sign here. And you don't read anything. You just sign, sign, sign. It was with Toyota, and I'd done it many times before, so I knew to trust them. But you're in the excitement of the moment. You want to get into business, and you'll just sign anything. And then all of a sudden you find out, years later, if something goes wrong, why would I sign that? I have never had anything like that happen with Sterling Capital Leasing. Barry, if a lease can be done, Barry will do it. If there's a reason that it can't, he'll tell you that too. And that's what you want. Sometimes the best answer in business is not the answer you want to hear. I have had customers that I've said, I like your plans, I think it's a good idea, but your situation is such you really ought to, it's the middle of June and you want to get open. Well, you're facing winter when sales will be lower. I'd really like to see you start off next April and just hold off. Sometimes telling someone no is a very good answer. But Barry, there's a big difference between going out to a bank and taking a loan out to buy a machine as opposed to leasing it. Now, I do have to say, and then I'll let you do all the talking, I'm sorry. It's not a car lease whereby in 3 years I'll just drive my car back to Toyota and turn it in. When you make sign the lease papers, you own the machine. So from day one, you own it. But there's a very important reason of why you do a lease in business as opposed to a bank loan. So Barry, what is that reason?
Okay. Reason for doing a lease, first of all, hi everybody. Reason for doing a lease is that it is 100% tax deductible. Okay? You can do a loan, you can do a rental, but you can't write it off dollar for dollar. When you do a lease, the way we set it up, every dollar of every monthly payment is 100% deductible. Big deal, because if you buy a machine for $20,000, that's a lot of money that you're getting back at the end of your tax year. Whereas if you're just paying for it, paying a loan back, you lose. That's just money out there. Okay? Can I give these to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a folder for all of you. You got? Okay. I'd like you to take a look. You got it, sir? If you take a look at this folder, leasing is really very simple. It generally, as you'll see in your folder, requires a one-page leasing application to be completed, sent over to me. A credit run is done, personal, business, if you are an existing business. Doing a lease is really, it's a simple process because that's all that's required. If you're a startup, we can get you money for this machine. We can do an existing business, we can do, no problem. Basically, whatever you need, we can get for you, and it's almost painless. You fill in that application, you to us, we will take care of it from there. And you will be called and notified at each step. If we have a question, I'm going to call you. If if you're on the edge here, maybe I need some bank statements. I'm going to call you and say, hey, send me the last 3 bank statements that you have, a checking account. Okay? The more strength you can give us, the easier it is and the cheaper it is for you to lease the equipment, and for $1 at the end, that equipment is yours. Again, as Steve said, just to follow that up, this is not a car lease. This is a lease to own. Okay? Now, if you look at in your folder, you've got an advantages to leasing.
Thanks.
Okay, and again, it's very simple. When you open a store or you have an existing store, you do not want to open that store without cash in your pocket. Because right down the road or right around the corner, there's going to be an inspection that you don't pass. You're going to have to get a grease trap. You're going to have to fix your water, whatever the case. That costs money. When you use your money to buy a piece of equipment, that's depleting your cash that you're going to have to use as surprises come along. So the idea is you need to conserve your capital. You need to keep that in your pocket. If you can lease, purchase, to own an Emery Thompson batch freezer, you're ahead of the game, because now you've got $20,000 in your pocket for any emergency that can arise. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. When you do a lease, it does not show on your personal credit, which is really very important, because maybe you want to buy a house. Maybe you want to buy a car or lease a car, whatever it might be. When you're doing an equipment lease, it does not show on your credit report. Therefore, you don't have a hit. Therefore, you don't have a lower credit score. Okay? All right. Questions on that? Okay. Tax benefits I went over with you. 100% deductible. No questions asked. Credit criteria, really simple. We need your name, your home address, your social security number. That's it. And off we go. Okay? Questions on that? Boy, I'm not getting any questions.
Interest rate and payment.
All depends on personal and business credit. Okay? It will go anywhere from 4% up to 18%, based on what your credit looks like. Okay, that includes existing businesses as well as startups. We had one question. Any more? Yes, sir. Ma'am.
What about if we're Canadian?
Where is the store?
Calgary.
We can do that for you. Yeah, as long as it's in the continental North America, we can do that. If we have to go to Mexico, not so easy. If we have to go offshore, not so easy. The reason for that is it's very difficult to perfect a lien on the machine if it's out of the country. Okay?
Barry used to work also with Taylor, who is now out of the batch freezer business. They gave up. And Barry, you surround yourself by like-minded people. And Barry, Jeff, and I all are of like mind that you don't want to start this business off going into debt. And saying that you've got a $25,000 line of credit on your credit card is debt. It's very severe debt. It's impossible to ever pay off a credit card. It's just too sexy. The thing is sitting in your purse or your wallet, and you can say, oh, I can buy that, I'll just pull that out. But you're paying for it over and over and over again at confiscatory rates. And so we all agree on the same thing. We want to get you into this business for the lowest price possible with the machinery that you need, and not a lot more. I'm a firm believer in let the machinery work for you. By that I mean I have a lot of people who are running the CB350 18 hours a day, and their spouse is saying, please come home, the children have forgotten your name. And that's absolutely true. But when you get, but that person, if he or she is working 18 hours a day, it means they have a lot of cash coming in. Otherwise, they wouldn't have anything to do. And so they're making money, they're putting it in the bank, and they're going to, at some point in time, be able to buy another freezer or buy larger quantities of flavors because they've got a good cash position. If you get yourself, before the doors open up, into a high debt by using a credit card, it's just going to be nothing but trouble. And people are always saying it never, you never pay it back. And some people might say, well, big deal, I'll just declare bankruptcy. Well, bankruptcy isn't what it used to be. It's now almost impossible to file bankruptcy. The courts have finally tightened it up because everybody was saying, oh, you know what, I'm having a bad day, I don't feel like paying these bills, I'll just declare bankruptcy. It's not happening anymore, and it does hurt your credit rating for many, many years to come. I've always thought if I had had more time when I was younger, I would have loved to have taught a course in high school about credit and credit cards and how every teenager should have a credit card. Most important thing they should have in their wallet is a credit card so that they can learn about it, of borrowing money, paying it back, building up that credit rating. I went through a period when my credit rating was so low that it didn't even record on the numbers. Now I'm almost up at 900. And there was no secret about it. It was just when the bill came in, I paid it. When the bill came in, I paid it. And so our goal here, besides giving you an outlet, besides paying cash for the machine, but giving you an outlet that's going to be affordable, and one big reason why is you're not buying a 44-quart machine that makes 11 gallons in 8 minutes. You're buying a CB350 that makes half a tub. So it's like your ice cream. I said that ice cream consists of fat, air, and flavor, of which flavor is the most important thing. Well, it's the same thing in business. There's the equipment, there's the items that you have to buy, and there's cash in the bank. So one way of looking at it, and what you should do, because everybody's situation is different, look at all avenues. And one avenue is to consider a lease. Yes?
We're looking to do new construction, and we're going to do a business plan. Pre-approval, we do that, and if so, how long does it take for before you have to redo it? For a business plan upon inspection,
Okay.
varies time-wise.
I would ask you for your business plan, okay? I would get you pre-approved, but it's not such a good idea. Reason for that is your pre-approval is good for 90 days. It then expires. When you have to go back and get a reapproval, not so easy, okay? My suggestion to you is wait. We could always run your credit and see where you are at without going to the banks and get you approval, etc. I could tell you if you were to ask me to run your credit and see where you are, or if you have a credit report, I would be able to tell you immediately if you're going to be approved or not, and at an approximate range. Okay? But you'd be making a mistake to get the pre-approval. First of all, it shows, that as an inquiry. Second of all, to go back and get it again, if it expires, we could have a problem. Because it's showing the banks that, well, this person's not so sure as to what he wants to do. So he went out there and he got a pre-approval, but he let it expire. So, it's kind of like this. You're not sure what the banks are going to see or what they're going to say. Therefore, I would suggest to you, do not do that. Okay? It's as honest as I can be with you.
One other thing is, you don't know us from Adam, and we're talking about your money. But I have to tell you, it must be close to 10 years now we've been working together, maybe longer.
It's longer.
It's longer. And and I'm producing thousands of machines and shipping them to 172 countries. as far as I can recall, and I've got a very good recall, we've had 2 defaults. One was a man who just disappeared. I mean, we have not found a trace of him, and the loan defaulted. And the other one was a young man who his parents said, he was in San Francisco, you have to get out of the basement, and we're going to put you in the ice cream business. And he had no idea, no interest in getting out of the basement and getting into the ice cream business, and he put just that much effort into the whole business, and it failed. But of all the thousands of machines that I do, and certainly not every single one of them is leased, but 2 defaults over 10 years means that we do our homework to help you to make sure that this is the right thing. You've turned my customers down.
I have. The reality of it is, we would like to get you the money and help you to own an Emery Thompson batch freezer. But you're just going to get straight fact from me. If I can't do it, or if we can't get this done for you, I'm going to tell you why. So that if there's a problem, you'll be able to fix it. And in 3 months, 6 months, or a year later, when you've been able to fix it, we can then go back and take care of this. Yes, it puts you back a little bit, but the reality of that is there's a credit issue that has to be resolved on your end. And I will lead you in the right direction. I can tell you what to do, how to fix it, where to go. But then it's up to you to take care of it. Okay? Whatever we find, you will know. That's one of the major things we do, is we communicate with our clients. Steve recommends me. Why? Because I'm honest with him and with you. And I don't mean to blow my own horn. That's not why I'm here. You need to know where we are. You need to know where you are. You need to know what the next step is going to be. And that's how we do the communication with you. I'll call you. I'll say, okay, we have a tentative approval. Here's what your numbers are going to be. Here are the terms you can go, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years. Here are the corresponding monthly payments. Your decision as to what you want to do and what you're most comfortable with. I will never, ever pressure you. The choice is always yours. If you're comfortable with what we're able to get, and I've got 41 banks I go to. So we put you out there and we get back the cheapest numbers we can get. And I'll tell you that. Many of the banks will come back declined. Others of them will come back approved, but due to credit situations, the monthly payment is going to be somewhat higher. But you already know going in what we're looking at. So there's no fluff from my end, and certainly not from Steve's. If I can get you done, I'm going to get you the cheapest numbers out there. Okay? I'm going to offer them to you. You're going to make a decision. It does not have to be right then and there, or although I'd like it, because in some instances we need to know what you're doing so that we can order the equipment. In some instances, you've got a 4 or 5 week wait. That's not such a good idea, especially as we get close to season. So the idea is, once I get you approved, once we communicate as to what you've got, what your options are, if you're going to do it, you probably need to make a quick decision. Yes, sir?
Is it 100% lease or any money down?
100% starting with first and last payments up front. That's it.
Okay. Any prepayment penalty?
Prepayment penalty additionally, no.
So in other words, if you take out the lease in June and want to pay it off in September,
You have to go at least a year.
at least a year.
Oh, yes. Because that's the way the banks make their money.
That's not bad, because my Toyota leases, they won't let you out of it.
Oh, I know that.
They lock you in.
And some of my banks, particularly the ones that deal with poorer credit, will not let you out. They're not going to charge you, additional fee for prepaying, but they're going to want their money back that's due at the end of the lease. For example, $200 for 24 months. Okay, so you've got $4,800. If you want to pay it off halfway through and the credit's not so strong, they're not going to let you get away. They're going to want their $4,800. But that's on a case by case. Ordinarily, if you put in a year, you can get out.
Anybody else? Yes.
I think he's saying is if you want to pay early, like if you, since you say you have to do a year, but like if you say the, $350, $350, you want to pay down $5,000, then you're really only leasing the $4,000.
You can do that. You can do that. But again, I would say to you, don't. You want that money in your pocket. Okay? The other thing is, when you prepay a lease, it's almost like shooting yourself in the foot. The IRS allows you that dollar for dollar deduction. If you prepay it, you've lost it. Now it ends up costing you a whole bunch of money because you're not getting that refund at the end of each year. Following me?
I'm following you, but I'm not agreeing.
Okay, go ahead.
There's a question back here.
Yes, I would like to know the prices of the machine.
Oh, okay. Well, they're all at the website, and we have a price list right here. We can pass these out. And these are net prices. Nobody else in the industry does this. And I do it because it annoys me when people don't do the right thing. They don't put their prices. If you want to look at a Capojani, Electrofreeze, Stolting, Taylor, any of them, you cannot call up a Capojani dealer and say, how much for a 17-quart batch freezer? They're going to say, well, when are you thinking of buying? How many square feet is your store? What's your rent? What are your dollar projections? Because they're trying to sound you out for how much you can afford for the machine, and their prices are going to vary. I had a situation back when I was 22 years old. I started working for the company when I was 16, bending copper tubing, but then I went off to college and got a master's degree because it was a great way to be in Florida and sit on the beach at not my expense. So I get out and I sell a machine over in Staten Island, and back then it was a machine. It was 14. I sold it for $14,300. 2 weeks later, I sold the same machine in Brooklyn for $14,100. And then the nasty phone call came, and it was, you sold my second cousin for $200 less than you sold to me. And the threats came and everything else, and I said right back then, that's it. I'm publishing my prices. This is what you pay. Whether you buy 10 machines or one machine, that's the price. Whether you're in Saudi Arabia or Indonesia or Brooklyn, that's the price. Yes?
The difference between water-cooled and air-cooled?
The difference between water-cooled and air-cooled, and we're getting off Barry's subject, you have to cool, the small ones are air-cooled, and that's the only way they come. You have to cool the engine, what we call the compressor. Your home refrigerator has a little tiny 1/8 horsepower compressor. It's so small, you don't know that it's sucking in cold air down in the front of the refrigerator and blowing it out the back because it's so little. These are bigger, so this thing blows out hot air into the room. Not that much. When you get into these bigger machines, now we're talking 6 horsepower of hot air. They could take this 75-degree room up to 85 if I didn't increase the air conditioning. So you have to cool it either by sucking in air and blowing it out using fans like your home refrigerator, or by hooking up a garden hose to it and circulating water through it only while the compressor's on, about a half a gallon a minute. And then it pumps it over to the sink where it's coming out at 108-degree water. So Jeff and I are using it to rinse off tubs because it's clean, pure clean water. And so we're getting double duty out of it. You would think, oh, for the environment, I shouldn't be using water, I should be using air. No, that's not the case, because water-cooled, water is expensive, sewer is expensive, but it's going up pennies a year. I don't think in the 8 years we've been in our current house, our water bill has gone up $15. My electric bill, on the other hand, has gone up hundreds of dollars. Electricity, every time there's a disturbance in the world, the price of oil goes up, and there goes my electric bill. So If I have to maintain this room for you to be comfortable at 75, and the machine, this is a water cooled, so it's not putting out any hot heat. If that was air cooled, I'd have to crank up the air conditioning. That's fossil fuel. So I'm now paying for it in the form of it coming in as electricity. I'm paying for it in additional electricity to run the fans in the machine. So it's more expensive to run a machine air cooled than water. So what determines whether you buy air or water in the bigger machines is your location. If you're in Los Angeles, there's water restrictions. You have to buy air cooled. If you're on a Caribbean island that is dependent on rainwater, you have to buy air cooled. Oftentimes, if you're not on city sewer and you have a septic field out back, a tank, you don't want to fill that up with clean water. You want to fill it up with wastewater from the sink and the toilet. You fill it up with clean water, then you got to call someone to pump your septic tank out. So I'd say about close to 95% of all the machines of the bigger size leaving here are water cooled, and they're less expensive to run. And lastly, an air-cooled machine is an air-cooled for the 45 years it exists. It can never be changed to anything else. It's air-cooled. If I had a water-cooled machine here and business grew so much that I ended up with 2, 3, 4 of these water-cooled machines, now I'm starting to look at a water bill. And I'm looking at it sideways and saying, I got 4 machines running on water-cooled. I can buy what's called a water recovery system, which would be outside the side door there. It would look like an air conditioning unit, just for a central air conditioning for a home. We fill the system with glycol, and it is now circulating 108-degree glycol out to the air conditioner, where it's cooling it back down to 40 and bringing it back in. A closed loop all the time. I don't build them. I don't sell them. They run about $6,000, but you are now off the water grid. You are recirculating the same glycol, just like in your car radiator, over and over again. Doesn't pay, in my mind, until you get to 2 or 3 or more machines. Yes?
I've had both. I started with the smaller air-cooled machine, and now I have the larger water-cooled machine, and doesn't matter.
It made no difference to you? Okay. Yes?
So I know, and I'm back at Barry.
Uh-oh.
So I know you said, no, not that. You said it's not, even though you don't recommend like getting into a lease and paying it off early, but you can pay
Yes.
it off early.
Yes.
And that would be in your contract, and it would be no problem with the banks. or
Correct.
No prepayment penalty, none
No,
of that.
ma'am.
Okay.
Okay? I'm off the hook?
You're off the hook, Barry, you're off the hook.
All right. Well, Barry, thank you very much for coming.
You're very welcome, sir. Your
And
pleasure as
look
usual.
forward to seeing you again soon.
You got it, sir.
We'll be talking to you on the phone.
Nice meeting you all. My card's in there. My phone number's all over the place on every document that's in there. If you have an interest, pick up the phone, call me, and we'll go from there. Again, it's a one-page application that you all have. Very simple to do, very quick to do. Yes, sir.
Do you offer the option to lease used equipment?
Yes.
But it won't be an Emery Thompson,
Assuming,
because if it is, I'm sending 2 black Suburbans to come visit you. I've got your address from Barry.
assuming you find a good machine, assuming you buy it from a bona fide dealer. Okay? Because if you're finding one on the internet, and I can tell you because I look once a week, there are virtually no Emery Thompsons out there. Okay? But if you're going to buy it online, I can't help you.
And a bona fide restaurant supply house, bona fide and restaurant supply are oxymorons.
That's exactly right.
These guys are the most despicable people on earth. I got an email from one last night. He sent me a picture and said, how much can I charge for this machine, and what is it? And I said, it's a 40-quart Emery Thompson batch freezer. It's chain-driven. It was built in 1938. 1938, and he wants to know how many thousands of dollars he can sell it for. I said, I'm sorry, but it makes a great boat anchor for your yacht because times have changed, materials have changed. It's no longer legal to operate this machine, even if you could get parts. But that's what they're out there selling. There was another one that was built 74 years ago. It was the only Emery Thompson I've seen so far on eBay this year, or this last 2 months. It was 74 years old, and he wanted $4,900 for it. And I guarantee you, someone will buy it, and then a week later they're going to call up and say, I need a batch freezer. I'm going to say, great, 5 weeks. You got to get into our production cycle. We're very busy.
Can I clarify something with you? Are you just starting up a business?
I'm in the thought process of the whole thing. The reason I brought it up is on his website, there are a few new pieces of equipment for sale.
Not on my website.
I thought I saw some on there. Wasn't
No, it says used batch freezers, and you're supposed to click on it, and then it tells you all the reasons why you shouldn't buy a used batch freezer.
And that's where
Hey,
that's
I'm
where
still
I
a
was,
salesman. What can I say?
That's where I was going. If you're opening up a store, do not look to cut corners. Do not look for used equipment. It's like buying a used car. You don't know the history. If there's a compressor that's on the way out, if there's a barrel that's scored, you took your money and you put it in the toilet. And then you're going to have to come back and say, hey, Steve, I made a mistake. I need a new one. Now you know that you've got warranty behind you. You know that you're getting a brand new piece. You know that you're not going to have an issue in running this machine and producing product that you want. Not that the machine being used is going to produce because it's the best it can do. Following me? Don't cut corners.
There's one I got to bring up just because I like to watch Barry shake his head in disgust. Twice this week, and I hate to blame it. You all, okay, I know your age group. The millennials, 18 to 29. There you go, Walt. Twice this week. This is only Wednesday, and I haven't even been on the phone yet. Twice this week. 2 different people have called up, and they want to order a machine right away because they want to get it a couple of weeks before 4th of July so they can test it. Not the small ones. We have these in stock. The bigger ones. They have gone out and they have secured the hats. They have the T-shirts. They have the tables and the chairs. The signs are up. Oh, you know what? We got to get ice cream. We got to be able to make ice cream. We better call and get a batch freezer over here. It takes 4 to 5 weeks, and they say and we want to finance it. Well, Barry's work is going to take a few days. I have to get the deposit in order to place the order in. We don't do it just on promises. Right. And they're looking at 5 weeks, and they have thought of everything down to the Facebook account, but they haven't bought a batch freezer yet. It boggles the mind that people, the most important thing, my point is the most important thing in your business is not how nice that sign is or how nice your T-shirt with the logo is. So, Jeff, your new T-shirt is really cool. I like it. I want one. It's your ability to make product. If I set up this entire factory and the one across the street, I said, okay, this is great. Oh, you know what? We forgot to buy some stainless steel. Well, let's see what we can do. People don't. They plan ahead, but they plan ahead in the wrong way.
Right.
And Barry hears this all the time. Tell Steve I need this machine by Thursday.
Right. Please, apply some pressure. I have to have the machine. Store's opening Wednesday. It's not doable. It's just not doable.
Think forward.
Right.
All right, I'm going to let Barry go. We're going to take a 5 or 10 minute break. Come back. Thank you, Barry. Let's check it up and stretch. We'll take a few minutes break, and then we'll come back and make some, I think we're making strawberry ice. Yes, we're making strawberry product next.